Top tips for pupils who have speech and language need in the primary classroom by Tasneem Shuja. The aims of this PowerPoint are for you to have an increased awareness of speech and language needs, and we'll be giving some practical activities and strategies for supporting pupils with speech and language difficulties. What are speech and language difficulties? There are four main areas that may present difficulties for pupils with language needs. Firstly, there's receptive language, which is the inability to understand what others are saying to them, and therefore at times responding inappropriately. Secondly, we have expressive language, and that's where pupils are experiencing difficulties using language, making sentences, using words. They have limited vocabulary and immature grammar, so they're not very clearly understood at all times. We have interaction with others, which may present as a difficulty, for example, not understanding the non-verbal rules of communication, or having the skill to use language in different ways to question and describe things. They may also have difficulty making friends and have limited emotional awareness. And lastly, we have attention and listening, and the pupils may find it difficult to remain focused on the task, difficulty re-engaging in a task once distracted, and they tend to distract others. The impact of speech and language difficulties can affect children in many areas. Firstly, literacy skills. Their literacy skills may be underdeveloped. They may not be able to read fluently or have very basic comprehension skills, impacting on them accessing the wider curriculum. Speech and language is vital for the development of emotional and social skills. Difficulty in language and communication can hinder a child's ability to confidently express their ideas and observations of the world around them. These pupils may display behaviours like isolating themselves, withdrawing from peers, and avoiding situations such as speaking out aloud or minimize verbal interactions with others, having a huge impact on their emotional and behavioural development and mostly their self-esteem. Things we need to consider when we are working with pupils with speech and language needs. The class culture should be one where children feel safe and a positive environment is fostered. Pupils should be encouraged to attempt problem-solving challenges, take risks, and be able to ask questions. Making mistakes should be embraced positively and taught as part of the learning process. Classroom routines should be well established and any changes should be carefully explained. Routine of the day should be visually accessible for pupils to encourage independence. Ensure checking pupil understanding of what has been said, instructions that have been given for tasks. This can be done by asking pupils to repeat or act out the information they have been given. Always praise and reward good speaking and listening, and be specific what the pupil is being praised for. Rather than saying well done for speaking, you can say well done for speaking with a big voice, or well done for speaking clearly. Establish turn-taking rules in the class, for example, passing a beanbag around the class, or for older pupils throwing a softball across a class where pupils may be seated at a desk. Taking turns is an important part of communication development for young children. When they learn to take turns, they learn the basic rhythm of communication, that back and forth exchange between people. They also learn about taking turns and communication through serve and return interactions. Always allow pupils thinking time when responding to a question. Use the 10-second rule. Have in place a system where pupils can ask for help, such as a coloured card to display if they do not understand what to do. This is a self-help skill, and the pupil must be praised for using this. Modelling good spoken language is very important for our pupils. But there are things that we need to remember. We need to avoid or limit the use of ambiguous language, figurative language, or phrases that have multiple meanings. Always repeat language so pupils have the opportunity to hear the language again and given the chance to process the language. If a pupil says a sentence that is grammatically incorrect, rather than correct it, model the sentence back. Promote multisensory learning environment. The classroom environment should support all the different learning styles, including kinesthetic, visual, and auditory learning styles. The kind of activity that you can include are to read to pupils, showing videos, providing audiobooks, practical work, role play, visual support, and offering written and spoken instructions for tasks, using concrete and physical objects to support learning and understanding, such as money to teach maths. It's very important that pupils are not overwhelmed by a given task. It can be beneficial to break a task down into smaller, manageable chunks. This can be presented as a short list, and the pupil can tick off each item as they complete it. This is very useful as it supports independent learning skills and supports understanding. Use of visuals is very useful. It provides a focus point for learning and discussion and supports understanding of the task. For example, using photos, pictures, videos, diagrams, and graphs. Word webs are a good way to support vocabulary development and how language is used in a variety of contexts. Mind maps and story maps are a very useful way of organizing thinking and ideas. They can be used creatively with the use of pictures and phrases. This supports independent learning skills and ensures the pupil is able to contribute to a class discussion using their mind or story map. Colours for semantics is also a valuable tool to support pupil sentence building skills and language and vocabulary development. Finally, it is valuable to recap on prior learning before continuing to the next stage. This builds a connection to what has been learned to what will be learnt. It's also very important to repeat skills that have been taught, as this increases and secures the skills that have been taught.